I'm Kendra Cook, your host for the DCTV Daily News program out of Dove Creek, Colorado. The Dolores County Broadcasting Network is the producer of DCTV with support from the Southwest Colorado TV Translator Association. That's the special district association responsible for bringing the area free to access TV stations over the air by antenna. This is a community TV station. If there's a news story or event information that you would like to share, you can call us at 970-677-4119. And if you're a business or organization, we welcome you to find out about sponsorship opportunities for banners or video segments run on the channel. This is the Tuesday program for September 1st, 2020. Rabbit, DCTV Daily News. To preface this next story from the journal NAP regarding surges and the Project COVID-19, one needs to look up what the testing is actually testing for and how inaccurate the results have been reported. Numbers keep changing. The test indicating that it may be a coronavirus case is a far cry from someone being deathly sick from a virus and what was first the goal to flatten the curve so that the hospitals could handle the increase in patients. That's not happening right now, the rush on hospitals, and to say in quote scientific fact, which science is all theories based on data input, no such fact as fact if you look back through history, but I digress. So back to the COVID cases, indicating that someone is a case and then impacting so many lives through fear is, as many have said, making the cure or response worse than the disease. But all that being said, in a clown world of upside down information every day, somehow Colorado is reporting that they know where someone picked up the virus, even though anyone traveling to Sturgis, North Dakota and back had to make many stops and interactions along the route. So again, all that being said, and additionally that the governor of South Dakota is a Republican, so politics may be in effect as well here. That may be just a coincidence though. So here's the report from the journal. Colorado has reported more than 20 confirmed COVID-19 cases linked to people who attended the annual motorcycles event in Sturgis, South Dakota earlier this month. The pandemic was expected to reduce attendance at the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, KCNC TV reported, but the event drew some 462,000 people between August 7th and August 16th, down just 7.5% from the previous year. Some visitors wore masks and practiced social distancing in spite of the large crowds. State officials in Colorado are now asking those who attended the rally and have symptoms to be tested immediately and have recommended those without symptoms be tested a week after suspected exposure. No one that we went with or knew up there has had any symptoms, said Kevin Bolser, co-owner of Lucky Horseshoe Customs in Englewood, Colorado. Bolser said that members of his group took special precautions to camp in a remote area and self-quarantine after the event. At least 8 other states have reported coronavirus cases linked to the annual rally, tallying at least 100 people with the virus. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, a Republican, has defied calls to cancel large gatherings and opposes requirements to wear masks. She welcomed the event, which in previous years brought in about $800 million in tourist spending, that according to the state's Department of Tourism. Noem had recently stated that she questions whether face masks prevent the spread of the coronavirus, saying there is, quote, very mixed research and the science has not proven what's effective and what isn't. Noem also welcomed those attending the rally in a tweet before the event started. The number of infections is thought to be far higher because many people have not been tested, and studies suggest that people can be infected with the virus without feeling sick. From Sturgis, which is conducting mass testing for its roughly 7,000 residents, to health departments in at least 8 states, health officials are trying to track outbreaks from the 10-day rally, which ended on August 16th. They face the task of tracking an invisible virus that spread among bar hoppers and rallygoers, who then traveled to over half the counties in the United States. An analysis of anonymous cell phone data from Cambridge Systems, yes, they are tracking your cell phones, a firm that aggregates cell phone activity for health researchers, found that 61% of all the counties in the U.S. have been visited by someone who attended Sturgis, creating a travel hub that was comparable to a major U.S. city. Okay, so that's great. Now there shouldn't be any additional fear, being that people are still traveling to big cities all over the country, not least our truck drivers. And by the way, happy Truck Driver Week this week. So as always, stay healthy, wash your hands, and practice personal responsibility. All seems like good advice. And now let's take a look at our weather for the upcoming week. Today, mostly sunny and a high near 74 degrees. Southeast winds at 10 to 15 miles an hour become northwest in the afternoon. For tonight, mostly clear and a low around 49 degrees. Northwest winds 5 to 15 miles an hour, shift northeast after midnight. Wednesday, we're looking for a sunnier day with a high near 83 with northeast winds at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Wednesday night, clear and a low around 53 with northwest winds at 5 to 10. And it starts to warm back up for Thursday with a sunny day and a high near 87. Northeast winds at 5 to 10 miles an hour, and Thursday night clear and a low around 54. For Friday, again sunny and a high near 88. Friday night clear and a low around 56. Saturday sunny, again a high near 88 degrees. Saturday night clear and a low around 56. And for Sunday, sunny with a high near 90 degrees. Sunday night mostly clear and a low around 56. So we're going to have a great clear, sunny, warm Labor Day weekend. So we're into meteorological fall, particularly today, being September 1st, with the lunar calendar showing the autumnal equinox being the start of fall around the 20th of this month. Either way, a nice cool weather for a couple days before we get back into what used to be called Indian summer, with a heat up before it really starts to cool down for the winter. And now, back to the news. Other event organizers, more locally, say that popular winter festival could not be held responsibly with the virus, according to an article from the Durango Herald. Yes, Project COVID-19 will continue into 2021 and probably beyond unless something changes soon. They write, although 2020 has been a year with an onslaught of bad news, this one particularly stings. Next year's Snowdown has been canceled. Quote, "For months we were trying to figure out how to make something work," said Chip Lyle, Snowdown board president. "But if we care about the community as much as we do, we cannot encourage gatherings." The first Snowdown was held in Durango in 1979 and every year since. The event has grown into a cherished local tradition that now draws people from all over to celebrate in the dead of winter. By the way, the Pick and Hoe was to be its 65th year annually, and that was canceled due to the coronavirus fears. For the 5 days at the end of January and early February in Durango, it turns into a wacky carnival-esque town with wild themes, flashy parades, and nearly 200 oddball events spread throughout the community. Snowdown thrives on large gatherings, packed bars and restaurants, and streets lined with revelers, Snowdown board member Peg Oceanrider said in a statement. But with the COVID-19 pandemic, event organizers in March started to recognize how difficult it might be to pull off a Snowdown in 2021, which carried the Wizard and Warlock themed "A Magical Mystical Snowdown. We Put a Spell on You." This is the first year since its inception that Snowdown has been canceled. "We meet once or twice a month and we kept talking about alternatives for months and months and months," Lyle said, "but we just couldn't come up with a way to do it half-baked Snowdown." Many factors went into the decision, Lyle said. Events typically draw large crowds, which would go against social distancing guidelines during the pandemic. And the annual carnival draws visitors from across the all over the country to Durango. And it's not just the week of Snowdown that posed a risk. For months leading up to the event, organizers and volunteers frequently gather to plan the week's happenings. Quote, "We felt like that wasn't good either," Lyle said. Snowdown organizers want to get word out about the cancellation sooner rather than later, Lyle said. It follows a string of other popular events that have been canceled in the community because of the pandemic. The economic impact is going to be felt, Jack Llewellyn, director of the Durango's Chamber of Commerce, said of Snowdown's cancellation. Snowdown was created as a sort of cabin fever reliever to bring a jolt of fun and a reason to get out of the house for Durangoans feeling cooped up during the long winter months, Llewellyn said. But the event has also become an important economic boon for many downtown businesses in a typically slow time of year. "A lot of individuals I know from Albuquerque and Phoenix build a vacation around Snowdown events," Llewellyn said. In lieu of no Snowdown, Lyle encouraged people to still get out and support local businesses. And as a slight compensation, Lyle said, organizers are looking towards Snowdown 2022 and how to make it extra special, perhaps an extra Snowdown that year or extending the event for 2 weeks to make up for lost time. "We're not going anywhere, don't worry about that," Lyle said. "We just want everyone in the community to recognize we took this decision very seriously over several months." Are gray wolves back? A puppy sighting in northwest Colorado is the best clue yet. Hillary Cooley, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, took this photo of a baby wolf, but it's not in Colorado, but it is still cute, they say. Colorado Public Radio wrote that in June, on a remote 2-track road in northwest Colorado, a truck driven by a state biologist stirred up an animal. From behind the wheel, the biologist and her husband watched an adult gray wolf cross the dirt before it scampered over a hill. What happened next could be a landmark in Colorado's natural history. A few minutes after the adult disappeared, the biologist reported a dark gray puppy followed the same path. The sighting could mean a group of gray wolves isn't just living in Colorado for the first time since humans eradicated the species in the 1940s. The predators could be breeding as well. And if you ask any locals on the Western Slope, they'll tell you they know they're already here. Colorado Parks and Wildlife spokeswoman Rebecca Farrell said that her office has no reason to doubt a report from one of its own, but it remains a solitary report. We don't have any photographic evidence or scat to provide additional confirmation at this time, Farrell said. CPR News obtained details of the alleged wolf sighting through an open records request. Since the biologist was on her personal time, she reported the pup through a form open to the public. CPW confirmed the report came from a staff biologist, but redacted her identity. While the sighting is far from solid evidence of wild wolf breeding, it comes at a political crossroads for the species. Colorado will vote in November on whether to reintroduce wolves to the Western Slope. If voters see the species is coming back on its own, opposing ranchers and farmers think that maybe they'll be less likely to force the species back onto Colorado's landscape. Sean Martini, a vice president of advocacy for the Colorado Farm Bureau and a spokesperson for a campaign against reintroduction, said that he would prefer wolves never recolonize Colorado. If it has to happen, he'd much rather see the species return without human help. If it happens naturally, that's something we have to live with, he said, but why try to force nature's hand through the initiative process? Colorado biologists first confirmed 6 wolves were living in Moffat County in February. While many have referred to the group as a pack, the term has a strict biological definition that still needs further evidence. Packs have a pair of breeding alphas that tend to produce a litter of pups every year. They mate for life, really, noted Farrell. They have long-term relationships. DNA results from scats sampled released by CPW in March showed 4 of the 6 wolves were related, likely as full siblings. If the remaining 2 wolves are a breeding pair, Farrell said that there's a good chance they would have had puppies this spring. To monitor for such a possibility, Colorado Parks and Wildlife developed a plan to gather evidence of potential breeding. The document, also obtained by CPR News, instructs staff members to conduct howl surveys between mid-June and September. The process involves biologists stepping out of their trucks, howling in different directions, and waiting to hear if adult wolves or wolf pups respond. If howling surveys indicated that the possibility of pups, deploying trail cameras might be used to confirm the presence of pups and potentially to indicate a minimum number, according to the document. CPW has yet to release the results of those surveys. The wolf reintroduction will be on the November 3rd Colorado ballot. And I might just go outside and howl at the moon. It's pretty bright there these days. And from Patch.com, what's happening next month with those voting ballots? They write that Coloradans have been voting by mail for years, but mail-in voting is new to many other states. More than 500,000 mail-in ballots went uncounted during the 2020 primary season nationwide, many of them because they were deemed incomplete or because they arrived too late. The issue could grow in states that are new to mail-in voting. A record number of voters are expected to stay away from traditional polling places for the November 3rd general election because of the coronavirus pandemic, fear, and instead cast their ballots by mail. Here are some important deadlines and rules in Colorado for ensuring your vote is counted in the election. September 19th, ballots are sent overseas to military voters. October 9th, ballots are mailed to Colorado voters. Now, this may be a little later depending on mail delivery. Here in Dolores County, our clerk's office reported at the end of the month meeting that the ballots are printed in Arizona, mailed to Albuquerque, and then sent to the registered addresses. On October 19th, polling centers and drop boxes open. Counting begins for the election. If you have not received your ballot by the 19th, you can go into the clerk's office and apply for a replacement. And if you do receive your original ballot later in the mail, you can destroy it. If anyone tries to submit duplicate ballots, they will be disqualified as they are scanned in to verify the signature. October 26th is the last day to submit a voter registration application and still receive a ballot in the mail in time. Note that that if the county clerk receives a voter registration application within the 8 days before the election, the clerk must process the application and inform the applicant that they will not receive a mail ballot and will have to visit a voter service and polling center. Tuesday, November 3rd, of course, is the big general election day. Polls will be open at 7 a.m. and all ballots must be received by 7 p.m. Here in Dolores County, there is the ballot box on the west side of the courthouse, or drop it off in person inside. And this year, they also have installed a secured box in Rico so that people can drop off ballots there as well. And November 12th is the last day for ballots cast by military and overseas electors to be received by the county clerk in order to be counted. In this unique year, it's not out of the question that there will be some contesting of the ballot count, so be patient, have confidence that at least here in Dolores County, they're working hard to make sure every vote counts, and just once. Coloradans can register to vote on Colorado's Secretary of State's website online, and to make sure, or you can go into the clerk's office, and to make sure your ballot is counted, register to vote, go to the clerk's office or do that online, follow the directions. If it says fill in the oval, they say fill in the oval, and then make sure you send it back. Make sure to mail in your ballot well ahead of the deadline or drop it off at the boxes or at the office. And DCTV will be providing a wrap-up of the Blue Book ballot initiatives, the judge elections, and all the referendums and such that will be on the ballot this fall as that becomes available. Here in Dolores County, there are 2 positions up for election. The Board of County Commissioners District 2, incumbent Steve Garcher, Republican, who's running unopposed, and District 3 Commissioner, incumbent Floyd Cook, Republican, and candidate Kendra Dolores Cook, myself, running unaffiliated in that second race. And I post up all of these links and stories on our Facebook page, which is DCTV Daily News, where you can also watch the program replay along with news links and stories of local interest. And you too can share other events or news there and join in on the conversation. This is your local community TV station, so if you have something you'd like to share, contact us. It's dcbnnews@gmail.com, or you can call the station at 970-677-4119. Thank you for tuning in to DCTV Daily News. Programs are broadcast Mondays through Fridays with replays online on our YouTube channel and the DCTV Daily News page on Facebook. And if you do like the program, please like and follow us on Facebook and share it with your friends and family. This has been a production of DCTV for the DCTV Daily News program out of Dove Creek, Colorado, USA. I'm Kendra Cook. Again, thank you for watching and have a wonderful September.